you say you are a Pan-Africanist. I know a lot of our leaders in the 60s who won our independence were Pan-Africanists. Okay. Now, Pan-Africanism has not, I don't think it has achieved its goals from the 60s. So also our countries have not moved forward. In fact, if we use GDP, we have actually moved backwards. And those who were behind us has passed us. Yeah. So why do you think this is?
I think to me it still comes down to what we've been talking about, and I'm going to repeat that a lot on this podcast.
Okay.
Is every human, if you can just close your eyes and imagine yourself as a blank canvas, and so on that blank canvas, you are your own artist. And the problem with that is you have to draw. If you don't pick up the pen and
the brush,
the brush and draw, the brush will pick itself up and draw what it brushed.
Whatever you want.
Whatever you want. And so to me, it's understanding that we are the architects of our own life and the master of our own destiny. It's a quote of a philosopher that I can't remember right now. And so to me, is understanding that, and I stand to be corrected, every single leader leading Africa today are still suffering from our collective trauma of the past. Right? When they come, they make us hate each other. When the colonial master came, they make us hate each other. They make us lose our own religion. What they beat out of us is identity. Because
now, Michael,
I'm coming there. I'm coming
there.
I'm coming there. And the reason they do that is because they know that the moment every single person wants to belong to something. And the moment there is no identity, a human doesn't have identity, anyone can tell that person that he or she is this, he will accept.
Okay.
It is a collective knowledge enough, or it can be emotionally relate to it. And so the concept of Pan-Africanism it's not even a concept of some heroes came and then they fought and then they won and we all clapped. No. That concept is a very spiritual concept found in the word called Ubuntu. And I will strongly, highly recommend every Africans, wherever they are in the world, to go learn about that word. There is a collective consciousness for people that function in a higher place spiritually. That's a collective consciousness that guides us as Black people across who we are in the world. And that what that word says is, I have, because we all have. I don't have, because we all do not have. And I'm privileged. My mother, she's Yoruba. And I remember in those days growing up as a little kid, they used to teach us something they call Omoluabi. And when you look at that Omoluabi is still that collective consciousness of Ubuntu. Mandela discovered it, of great memory, Diva. Desmond Tutu. These are our own heroes that are trying to tell us something. We're not individualistic people. We are people who loves community, who craves community. Our power is in the community.
Yeah.
And that's what will make us thrive. And so it's difficult for me today as an African to travel to another African country than it is to come to Europe or to go to the part of the world. So there are fundamental things that we need to get right in that. And so if it's more difficult for an African today, if a Nigerian travel to Kenya, South Africa today, there's a potential of being killed because they probably thought they getting invaded. And so there are people who lived before you and I that have tried to solve this problem. And so to me, this is the new conversation that I stand for. And so Pan-Africanism starts from a place of identity. Now, when people ask me, where are you from in Africa? I say, no, I'm an African. And I've seen someone argue with me in the past that you can't say you're an African. Where exactly are you from? I say, I'll tell you one thing. When they draw the map of the world, they make Africa looks like a country.
Yeah.
There is a blessing in that.
Okay.
And the blessing in that is if every single person that come out of Africa embrace the identity of Africa and see themselves as African and beginning to mentally, spiritually, emotionally function as African, then we have a shot.
Okay. Now, from that, if we want to push that idea, then everyone, every human being is African.
That is correct.
Okay.
So there's a fundamental historical context to that.
Okay. Now,
please.
Okay. Continue.
But I'm trying to say this in the context of a modern day Africa.
Okay.
No, because when we want to start going into it, we're going into civilization.
Yeah.
And then the Egyptology and all this, and then the Nubians and Mesopotamia. We're then going to go into a whole lot of histories.
Yes.
And one thing I love about history is great, but history can actually destroy more than it's ever going to give us.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
And
now, yeah.
Please.
So my point is this. I've talked to a lot of young people who want Africa to be one. You do. I'm not opposed to it. Okay? I'm not. But, you see, in truth, before the Europeans came to Africa, Africa was not one. That's the truth. Today, we now know we are the most diverse continent in the world in terms of tribes, languages. In fact, science knows that Africa has every single gene that people across the world have. You can find them in Africa because Africa is the origin of the human race. Okay, and that's exactly why we are so diverse. Okay, now when the continent is so diverse with so many different languages, culture, and ethnic groups, without acknowledging that, without consciously working to bridge the gap between groups, we cannot have that one Africa. See, we can say it, but in truth, we are so very different people. In fact, the one that is very, very clear to everyone are North Africans. North Africans are very their looks, okay, and their culture, and interestingly, they have been part of the modern, I use the word modern, written civilizations. North Africans were known before when Europe were villages. In North Africa, it had cities. Way back, the Greek Empire, the Roman Empire. Yeah. Okay. So my point is this: we are very different. We are very diverse. Now, if we want that one Africa, we need to do the work. Just saying we want this will not make it happen. We need to do the work.
Absolutely, I totally agree with you. I think, to me, it's very important to always understand the purpose of the conversation, because the purpose of the conversation is think big for Africa.
Yes.
Okay. And so it's important for us to acknowledge our diversity. It's important for us to acknowledge our differences, right? Humans. I say this with when I have privilege to be in a spiritual gathering. I always say this: life. I believe life is a game of hide and seek. Right. And it looks like that's how, wherever you believe in, whether God or Jesus or Imam or Allah or whatever you believe in, it's just believe that this unified force enjoys it. Because what makes us an evolved man is understanding is a hide and seek game and enjoying the playfulness. And that's why when a child is born, until we begin to infiltrate their mind and how they reason and see the world, they're always constantly in moment of playfulness. And it looks like life is always trying to take us back to that place of hide and seek. And I say this to my friend the other day. I said, has it ever occurred to you that one of the best games children love to play is a game of hide and seek? He said, why? I said, why do you think children love that game so much? He said, I'm going to hide. I'm going to count 1 to 10. Let's see if you can find me. And it just looks like life loves to play that game with all of us.
Yeah, I agree.
And so to me, thinking big for Africa is understanding. And I say this to people, and that's a conversation, the powerful new conversation that I belong to, and I want to be for my community and for Africa. It's to see that from the past horrible histories, I don't want to go back to those histories. I'm aware of those histories. And I want every Black person and every African to be aware of those histories, because that tells them their place in the world before their history was destroyed. Okay. And that helps them to build a new sense of identity that is based on power, that is based on resilience, that is based on loyalty. Right? But they need to be careful. We need to be careful. Because by the time we then begin to go into history will always will always play hide and seek with us. Because history will always leave us with who is right or who is wrong. And the reason Africans have not evolved is because we're constantly looking for who is right, who is wrong. And when there's millions of abundance, opportunity in front of us, it looks like sometimes we get too consumed about those histories. Those histories are great. Those histories give us those painful reminders not to forget who we are. But we need to be careful that we don't become victims of history. And so my message is to say, it's not just about talking about Africa,